Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. My name is Mariam Akhtar and I'm from the Department of BS Chemistry. My ID is 004 and this is the course of Environmental Chemistry. And the topic that was assigned to me is of oxygen consuming waste. So let me take a start of this presentation layer of oxygen consuming waste with the waste, its type, chemical waste, its examples. Then I'll move towards my main topic, which is of oxygen consuming waste or oxygen demanding waste, its source, its adverse effect, what are the units which are used for the oxygen, its explanation, then what are the parameters that are used to describe oxygen consuming waste. These include BOD, COD, DO, TOC, TSS. And I'm going to talk about introduction, high level, standards of these all parameters, factor affecting these all parameters, and what are the environmental significance of these parameters. So let me take a start with the very focused and basic things, which is waste. Any material which can't be used in the form of in which it is produced is called as waste. It is no longer needed by us because it has lost its value. If it is thrown around, it can cause soil, air, or water pollution. It also possesses a serious threat to the normal life, plants, animal, and human beings. These all are the types of the waste like solid waste, liquid waste, gaseous waste, chemical waste, etc. So, what is chemical waste? A chemical waste is any solid, liquid, or gaseous waste material that, if improperly managed or disposed of, may pose sustainable hazards to the human health and the environment. These all are the example of the chemical waste: unused and surplus reagent grade, intermediate and the byproduct, batteries, used oils of all types, finely divided powders, computers and electronic equipments, toner cartridges, etc. These all are the examples of the chemical waste. So, what is oxygen demanding waste? Organic waste such as animal manure and the plant debris that can't be decomposed by aerobic bacteria or oxygen requiring bacteria. The major source of the oxygen demanding waste includes sewage, animal feedlots, paper mills, and the food processing facilities. The harmful effect of the oxygen demanding waste are large populations of the bacteria decomposing these waste can degrade the water quality by depleting the water of dissolved oxygen. This causes fish and the other form of the oxygen consuming aquatic life to die. The unit used by the oxygen is DO. If more oxygen is consumed than is produced, oxygen level decline and some resistive animal may move away, which weakens or die. So oxygen consuming waste basically includes respiration by the aquatic animal, decomposition and various chemical reaction consumes oxygen. Wastewater from the sewage treatment plants often contain organic material that are decomposed by the microorganism which use oxygen in the process. Other sources of the oxygen consuming waste include stormwater, runoff from the farmland, feedlots, sealing septic system, etc. So what are the sources of the oxygen consuming waste? These can be from the natural process, these can be from the agriculture application, these can be from the urban sewage runoff. So from the natural process, it includes aerobic bacteria and debris. 35% it are the sources of the oxygen consuming waste agriculture application. Urban street and farmland includes urban sewage and runoff. And the explanation of its source include the stream system both produces and consuming oxygen. It gains oxygen from the atmosphere and from the plant as a result of the photosynthesis. Running water, because it is churning, dissolves more oxygen than the still water, such as that in the reservoir behind a dam. Respiration by the aquatic animal, decomposition, and various chemical reactions consume oxygen. Stormwater runoff, feed loss, failing septic systems includes the sources of the oxygen-consuming waste. Now I'm going to talk about the effects of the oxygen-consuming waste. It include BOD of the waterway, place strain on the large organisms, create dead zones. Examples are sewage and feedlot runoff. Garbage as an oxygen-demanding waste. Garbage waste need oxygen for decomposing. It's very harmful to our environment because of the way it is currently being disposed. It possesses dangerous risk to our lands, water, and air, as it's called very pollution. Landfill disposal, if leaked, will contaminate surface and groundwater, which in return will travel to the nearest ocean or lake and poison the wildlife. Now I'm going to talk about the parameter of the oxygen consuming waste. The first one is BOD or biological oxygen demand. I'm going to talk about its introduction, high level of BOD, standard rate of BOD, what are the factors that affects the BOD and its environmental significance. So first of all, we should know these all the terms before moving towards my main topic, which is BOD. Water is polluted by many organic matter in its course of flow. When organic matter is present in a water supply, the bacteria presents and start the process of its decomposition. With this much of the available dissolved oxygen is consumed by the aerobic bacteria and its decomposition. So the robbing other aquatic organism of the oxygen they need to live. Biological oxygen demand is the measure of the oxygen used by the microorganisms to decompose this waste. A large number of organic waste in the water supply guarantees a large number of bacteria is present to decompose the waste. In this case, the demand for the oxygen will be high, so the BOD will be high. As the waste is consumed through water, BOD level will begin to decline. So, let me introduce what is BOD. It is basically the demand of the oxygen or amount of the oxygen absorbed by the sample of sewage during a specific period, and the period will be of 5 days at specific temperature, and the temperature will be of generally it's kept at 20 degrees Celsius for the aerobic destruction of the organic matter by living organism. High level of BOD basically is because of the nitrogen and phosphate in the body of the water, which can contribute to the high level of BOD. Nitrate and phosphate are the plant nutrient and can cause plant life and algae to grow quickly, which is called eutrophication. When plants grow quickly, they also die quickly. This contributes to the organic waste in the water, which is then decomposed by the bacteria, resulting in the high level of BOD. So, what is the difference between the biochemical demand and biological oxygen demand? Biochemical oxygen demand measures the molecular oxygen utilized for the biochemical degradation of an organic material, whereas in biological oxygen demand, it only addresses the oxygen which are used by the bacteria to degrade or decompose the organic matter or substance. What are the standards for the BOD? These are the standard most pristine rivers having less than 1, moderately polluted rivers have BOD standard from 2 to 8. What is the environmental significance of the BOD? The principal test for the biodegradability of any sample and the strength of the waste so measure the amount of the pollutant. Important parameter to assess the pollution of surface and groundwaters. A low calculation of the effect of the discharges on the oxygen resources of the receiving water. Measurement of BOD in raw and treated, influent and effluent wastewater is standard practice to elevate treatment facility performance. So the next one is COD, and I'm going to talk about its difference, measurements, its method, and its environmental significance. So what is chemical oxygen demand? Chemical oxygen demand or COD is basically the measure of the oxygen which are being consumed during the oxidation of the oxidizable organic matter and the presence of the oxidizing agent. This is the best suitable definition of the COD. Its generally used to indirectly determine the amount of the organic compound in aquatic system. High COD indicate presence of all the forms of the organic matter, both biodegradable and non-biodegradable. It is measured in milligram per liter. So what is the difference between BOD and COD? BOD basically is only the measurement of the consumed oxygen by the aquatic microorganism to decompose or oxidize the organic matter, while COD refers to the requirement of the dissolved oxygen for the oxidation of the organic and inorganic constituents both. What is the environmental significance of COD? COD values are particularly important in the surveys designed to determine and to control the losses to sewer system. The ratio of BOD to COD is useful to assess the amenability of the waste for the biological treatment. It is very useful to assess the strength of the waste, which contain toxins and biological resistant organic substance. The procedure for the COD measurements are of two types: open reflux method and the closed reflux method. My third parameter is of DO, dissolved oxygen, and I'm going to talk about its introduction, important in aquatic life, what are the sources of the DO, what are the uses and method for the analysis of the DO. So let me take a start with this definition. DO or dissolved oxygen is referred to the level of the free non-compound oxygen which are present into the water or liquid. It is an important parameter in assessing water quality. DO is a measure of how much oxygen is dissolved in water, the amount of oxygen available to the living aquatic organism. The amount of dissolved oxygen in a stream or a lake can tell us a lot of what its water quality is in the lake or the ocean. It is of great significance because DO is very important to many aquatic animals as they use oxygen in respiration. Microbes and fungi also require DO to decompose organic matter at the bottom of the body. The sources of the oxygen, dissolved oxygen are through air and plants as a byproduct. These are the sources of the DO, dissolved oxygen. So what are the uses of the dissolved oxygen? The uses of the dissolved oxygen includes it determines the health and the cleanliness of the lake or a stream. It determines the amount and the type of the biomass. It determines the amount of the decomposition occurring in the lake or a stream. The method for the analysis or the measurement of the DO or dissolved oxygen includes optical sensor method, calorimeter method, clock type method, electrochemical method, and titrate method. So what is TOS and TSS? These are the last two parameters that I'm going to talk about in this my presentation. Total organic carbon or TOC is basically the amount of carbon which are found in an organic compound and is often used as a non-specific indicator of water quality or cleanliness of pharmaceutical manufacturing equipment. TSS is basically the total suspending solids. These are the particles that are larger than 2 micron which are found in the water column. Anything smaller than 2 micron is considered as dissolved solid. So the conclusion of this whole presentation is disposing of the waste has a huge environmental impact and can cause serious problems. Some waste will eventually rot, but not at all. And in all the process, it may smell or generate methane gas, which is explosive and contribute to the greenhouse effect with the help of greenhouse gases. Thank you. That's all from my side.